Hi, good morning. This is about as vulnerable as it gets. I'm not wearing a stitch of makeup, and people were requesting that I do a makeup tutorial. It's really intimidating because there's a lot of really wonderful people out there who are real pros, and they're very thorough with the types of brushes and the numbers and things like that. That's not going to be this type of tutorial. I'm just going to keep it real. I'm a real housewife of Orange County. Not official or anything, but I just not pretentious when I say real. You know what I'm saying? So bear with me and try not to be too judgy. Okay, let's just cut to the chase here. This is my routine. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I'm not saying that that my way is the end all beat all, but this is just how I do my makeup every day. Okay, so I always start with the eyes first. Reason being is if there's any fall off from my eyeshadow and it gets on my face, I don't have to worry about it ruining the makeup all over the rest of my face that I've already done. I pick up a brush. I said I'm not going to name off numbers, and I'm not, but I will, drop name brands and things like that. And there's nothing that's really crazy expensive here either. So this is a brush from e.l.f. This particular brush, it looks about like this. I think it's called a C brush or something like that. And the palette that I'm going to be using is really old and dated, but I love it. It's from a company called Revolution. Their palettes are very reminiscent of other palettes out there that are expensive, like Anastasia palettes, or even ones from, I think it's called the Naked palette. Anyway, their palettes are like only 12 bucks, $7, and you're getting like a ton of colors in them. And as you can tell, I use it all the time. So back in the day when I was younger, I feel like younger people can use colors that are a little more loud and prominent, and it works for them. I've discovered as I've gotten older, not so much. The older you get, things that used to work for you don't anymore. And so I'm definitely going to touch on that as well. So I start with kind of a neutral. I just chose, I can't believe I'm doing this. All right, so I took like some of this stuff and some of this stuff and some of that stuff. Okay, and I always kind of like to mix it up. I have never applied makeup like this before. I just prefer to use my mirror, so it's looking not as good as it would if I was just doing it with my mirror because I'm at such a distance. So, and I'll blend it out more when I get to other stages, so don't freak out. Okay, and with your extra, when you go to reload your brush, I kind of tap it. I have an old pillowcase that I use as a base. This way, if there's any fall off of my makeup and things like that, it catches there. And then, after a week or so with that pillowcase, I'll go ahead and I'll throw it in the wash. And then I also like to use this same color that I use for my base under my eyes because it kind of acts like an eyeliner, but it's a lot softer. Again, I think part of the key when it comes to doing eyeshadow, especially as we get older, is to keep it on the soft side. You don't want anything hard that's going to make your face look hard. Makes sense to me. Okay, so for my second brush, I'm going to use this in my crease, and I like this size because it's smaller and you're not going to get this darker color up on top. And you definitely want to use a darker color because we're trying to create like this shadow inside of the eye where it's going to recess back. If your eyes are deep set, you're going to want to avoid this step because you really don't need it, and you don't want to make them look further sunken in further than they already are. I'm just, using this color right here, nothing special. And I make sure that I tap the excess off of that. I close my eye and just kind of follow where the crease is. It's very similar to what people are doing nowadays called a cut crease. Um, it's pretty much the same principle. This is what I've been doing for the past, oh my God, probably 26 years of my life. Little did I know I was such a trendsetter doing the cut crease before it was a thing. Okay, and then I take that darker color and I just go a little bit underneath, again, just to create some impact, but without being over the top. Next brush that I'm picking up is this size, and this brush is from Morphe. Morphe has a great selection of brushes that are stupid cheap. And the same thing I think with Revolution. All right, so for your lid, I always recommend using something that has a shimmer or a sparkle. This is another Revolution palette, and it's got a lot of sparkle in it, and I really like this one. So, and I'm gonna mix up my color with my sparkle. I've got some gold and I've got some rose, so rose gold, right? Okay, and then I just put it over the lid and do the same thing again with this side. I also like to get in the corner because it just adds a little sparkle to it, and it kind of brings the eyes out and it pops. The next step is I will take a chiseled brush, and I'm using now the Jaclyn Hill palette from, oh geez, who is this company? I think it's Morphe, actually, and it's a ginormous palette with a boatload of colors in it. And yes, I know my palettes are filthy. I don't care. I'm using them anyway. They're filthy because of all the fall off of the eyeshadow. It's not like I've been dragging through the mud or something. So with my chiseled brush, I take these two colors and I mix them. This one's like an ultra deep blue and then a little bit of purple. And I take that and I put it right in the corner. And the reason I use blue has nothing to do with complementing my eye color, my natural eye color. It has to do with, and I had heard this somewhere, somebody else shared this, and it made sense and it seemed to work, that using like a blue eyeliner makes the whites of your eyes look more white. And who doesn't want that, right? I think that was actually a thing for a hot minute where there were some sort of drops that actually whitened your eyes, and I thought that was kind of crazy. Then I take an eyeliner, and this one's from CoverGirl. I got it on clearance, so I don't even think it's worth mentioning what kind it is, blah, blah, blah. I prefer to use like a brown color. I think black is just too harsh as we get older, you know? And as you notice, I'm not going all the way. I'm not doing this throughout my entire lid. And the reason being is if you do the entire lid with your eyeliner, it actually closes off the eye and it makes it appear smaller than it actually is. And this just kind of makes your eyes have a winged effect. I'm not going to blend any of this stuff yet, and you'll see why as I go through, because everything just kind of comes together at the end. So I know it looks a little freaky, and you're thinking, oh, this can't be right, but for now it is. Okay, so on to the next step. I'm just looking for my product. This one is from NYX. I use a lot of NYX product because I am not rich by any stretch of the imagination. I call it the poor man's MAC because it basically is. They've got everything out there that's trendy, that is useful for makeup without breaking the bank and spending a lot of money. These are just drops, and they come in like, oh my God, so many different colors. It's amazing. So what I'm using to spread that around is this stuff from Maybelline. It's an Age Smart Erase. I don't even use the makeup inside. I'm just using the brush because it's soft and it's a puff and it almost acts like an airbrush effect. Now I just take a lighter shade, like I guess this is about a shade and a half lighter than my natural skin tone. And the reason I do this is I've done a lot of makeup in the past on women, young girls, when they're going to dances and proms and things. And I had noticed the people with the best skin tone, and I can't do this anymore. I've got to use my mirror. Had it like, it was lighter in the center of their face. And there was almost like a progression of depth with the coloring towards the outside of the face, and it just, oh my god, their skin was beautiful and it gave the appearance that they were glowing, and I'm like, okay, I want that. How do I emulate that? So this is kind of my technique, is where I like to put it. I have a shadow that I'm a little concerned with that's down here, so to kind of balance that out, if you will, if you have anything that you feel is kind of recessed where you want it to, kind of vanish, or you feel, self-conscious about, you can take the extra from this stuff and put it in those areas. Then I take my second liquid makeup, and this is actually a conglomeration of a whole bunch of different makeups that are inside of here. One is the CC cream from IT Cosmetics. That stuff is like stupid expensive, so I don't use a lot. And then, I'll use some other makeup. My mom gave me this stuff. It's from e.l.f. It stands for eyes, lips, face. I don't know if you guys all knew that, but I thought that was kind of clever. Anyway, and so, I'll just put that in there. I'll also use some sort of a primer, and I'll put that inside of my pot here too. I put the lid on it, and then I just shake it up, and I'll just use this until it runs out, and then I'll just fill it up with other stuff again. So I just take a little sponge and just kind of dip it in there, and then I, do a little spot check. Ooh, I almost got my hair. That would have been a whole different tutorial. Who knows, maybe I'd start a trend. Highly doubtful, but I've seen stranger things. Again, the reason I'm using this mirror instead of the camera is I just can't see well enough. Now, you'll notice with the darker color that I'm kind of chiseling my nose. I'm not getting crazy with it. I'm not going to pull out any fork and, do that whole line down the nose and making it really contoured. I don't have time for that. I'm not that concerned with the features of my nose. So, okay, once I've basically covered up everything, then I go back and I take a sponge that, looks like this, and I'll take the corner part of the sponge, and I just want to soften around my eye. I'll do the same thing over here. And then I take the butt end of the sponge and I'll go along my hairline and definitely around the nose. Any place where I feel that it can be softened and blended, just lightly pouncing. Nothing crazy. I know that there's a lot of extra things that women do, and when I do makeup on my clients, for the most part, the only difference would be I would put like a base on their face of like a primer, but I figure, it's just one more step for me to do, and that's why I just go ahead and do put the primer in my foundation, and problem solved. Okay, now this is something new from NYX. It says can't stop, won't stop. that it's a setting powder. There's different colors. I got the darkest one because I have olive skin, and remember that glow that I was talking about on women who have like the best complexion and their skin just looks amazing. I'm mimicking that. I'm faking that. So I take a brush. This one is from Morphe. And there you go. It's like that. And I take it around my hairline. And another bonus about doing this is you kind of make your hairline look fuller, which is great as we get older, because as you know, it recesses, or, you know, it gets thinner up in there. Up in there, up in there. Okay. Oh, I look like Eddie from the Munsters now. Some of you will know who the Munsters are. And my inner goth just loves that. All right. Okay, you could even, if you wanted to, do that, but I wouldn't recommend it because we're going to go on to phase 2 with this. So I grab another brush, and this one is from e.l.f. And it's just a nice big kind of fluffy brush, or it's just flat because I keep my brushes in a makeup case that folds up, so it goes flat. So I went ahead and I turned this stuff up on top of itself with the lid and tapped it out, the powder that's in there. And then I just take my brush and I swirl it and kind of knock off the excess, you know, very reminiscent of how you do with Bare Minerals if you're familiar with that routine. So then I take this because I want to soften this line and bring it down a little bit more too. You don't want anything, again, to look too forced or too obvious. You know, I'm not going to say that this is a natural look, what I'm doing today, but, you know, this isn't freaking Halloween makeup either. So, blending, as the Avon lady said in Edward Scissorhands, blending, blending, blending. Okay, so the next step, and this is probably one of the most expensive makeups that you're going to see in this tutorial, and this is a highlighter from Becca, but I got it at the Costco, and so it was a lot cheaper. And then this is some brush that came, like, I think, with a set of cheapy brushes at some department store or something, whatever. Okay, so with the highlighter, what I like to do is go kind of around the eye and a little bit here. Now, any place that you see like imperfections on your skin, I also like to just lightly kind of swirl over that. So, you know, acne scars or fine lines. And usually you feel like, oh my God, isn't that going to bring attention to them? Well, if this was all we were putting on, then I'd say, yeah, probably. But that is not it. See, I do that first, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to put my base powder on. This one is from number 7. It's called Perfect Light, and this is translucent, and it's a pressed powder. It's fantastic, and this is a brush that I got. I think it's from Element. It's great. It's nice and dense. The bristles are, you know, kind of tight and packed, but it's got that nice rounded edge, so it makes for a really easy finish. And then you can just kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm just swirling, circular motions. It totally helps if you make sound effects when you're doing your makeup. You know I'm lying. Okay. See, it's coming together. So then I am going to use a blush from e.l.f. I like something that's soft. You know, this color is, oh my God. I mean, you should see the label on here. It's so tiny. I can't read that. always, getting old sucks. Always rosy. Isn't that special? Oh, and how appropriate it is the blush brush from Real Techniques. Swirly, swirly, swirly. And then I don't want to get carried away with this stuff. You know, you just want suggestion of color. See, you can already see it kind of in there. And then, and this usually surprises a lot of people, it would when I was like applying their makeup. Oh my God, what are you doing? My cheeks aren't on my forehead. No, girl, but it's all about balance. You want some balance in your life and in your makeup. Oh, this stick is money, and unfortunately, they have discontinued it. I got it at the Target. This is L'Oreal Infallible Long Wear Shaping Stick. It says it's a foundation, but I use it as a contour stick. So whatever color is like super dark for your skin tone, yeah, use that. And a little goes super long way. And this is the optical blurring brush from, again, Urban Decay. That'll probably be the most expensive brush you see me use today. And so I just go under my cheekbone, just right under there, and then I go up and bring it up into here, and then into there, and then I will take it and further chisel out any jowl action that's going on. I also like to bring it behind my jawline. Just a homegirl needs some eyebrows. This is what I use for my eyebrows. I love this stuff. It's from Maybelline. It's Tattoo Studio. I think this is a light brown color. Yeah, choose a shade lighter than you think you naturally would, because this stuff is dark and you don't want to look like Groucho Marx or, you know, some sort of weird Disney villainess. So it comes with an applicator. I threw that sucker out because this, in my opinion, works just fine. And then sometimes I'll take like the excess of it and I'll wipe it off there. When it comes to your eyebrows, I like to have a little bit of an arch, but nothing too crazy. I've noticed to have a more youthful appearance. Wow, there's a new word. To have a more youthful appearance, you kind of want your eyebrow shape more on the straight side with just a little bit of an arch. Again, you know, you want to stay away from looking like a Disney villain, to help to shape it, because it's really hard just to use this thing to get like the perfect shape. And take another makeup brush, and this one is teeny tiny, teeny tiny, and it's got eyeshadow because we're going to use that for eyeshadow too. But you see how small that sucker is and how thin. See, yeah, you want it nice and thin and tiny. And so I will go and get rid of any residual stuff that I don't want to help make my point. And then I'll wipe off the excess on my pillowcase that is just designated to catch makeup. And I go along the side. See, you see that point right there? Like, oh, I'm not too anal about this. 15 hours later. This is the part of my routine where I stop what I'm doing with my makeup and I go and I put my hot rollers in. So give me a moment. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So, yeah, this is how I get ready every morning. You know, I have my hot rollers in now. And if you want to see that tutorial, I can try and figure out how to put a link in my video so you guys can check that one out. If I can't, you can find it under trendy curls with hot rollers, question mark, exclamation point. Anyway, so going back to our eyes, I haven't forgotten about them. I told you we'd be back. I am using the Revolution palette again, and I use the ones that are almost missing now, these two, and I use this brush in particular. This brush was really hard to find because it's super short and flat and not uber thick, but it does have a little heft to it. And this brush is from It Cosmetics. So I put it in here and then I put it in there. And then what I do is I go up in between that dead space, if you will, of my eyebrow and where my eyeshadow stops. And if you don't have that space in between, you're just going to go over the base eyeshadow that you had and see how it's already kind of softened that. And then we do the same thing on the other side. And I bring it all the way into the corners. It's super important to do that because you want to open your eye, and that's exactly what this technique will do for you. And then with the remainder of any product that I have, I'll go up and I can kind of clean up underneath. And sometimes we get like lines or creases as we get older in our lid, and I will try and buff those out with this lighter eyeshadow color as well. There. Oh, so much better. I'm actually looking like a kind human being now. Going back, I'm picking up that other brush, that little teeny tiny one that we had before. And with this brush, what I like to do is I'll go to that Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette and I'll take these two. And, you know, again, these are just suggestions, but I definitely recommend that there's some sort of a light color. You don't have to mix them. I just do, just because I figure, you know, two's better than one. Sure. Okay, so with this tiny little brush, I like to kind of highlight what little arch I have created. And I'll do that by just kissing that highlighter color in there. I need to go back and reload my brush. And going up in here, and then I'll take the extra stuff and I'll put it in the corners of my eyes. And you can really tell on this side because that's where my light source is coming from. That is definitely in there. So to soften that, you know, I'll just take that other brush, that other It brush, and I'll just kind of blend that out a little because you don't want to bring too much attention to any one particular area. So just to kind of tighten everything up with my eyebrows, my sweet, sweet mother gave me this product that she got off of QVC. She loves watching QVC. It's called Your Best Friend Eyeliner. And this is Universal Taupe. And a little goes a long way. And the reason why they say it's universal is because if you apply it lightly, it goes on like a natural blonde. If you apply it with more pressure, it can go black. So anyway, and I don't need much, but you will find sometimes, and it depends on how much eyebrow you do have, with that other product that I use, that eyebrow tattoo stuff, sometimes it can get inside of the hairs in your eyebrow and make them look a little funny. And so I take the spoolie on the end of this eyebrow pencil, and I'll just kind of brush out any product buildup that may have occurred with that other eyebrow stuff. And I should be fine. The suckers really clumped together. Okay. Looking good in the neighborhood. on to, we're almost done with the makeup. Woohoo! Home stretch. Okay. This particular mascara is from CoverGirl Exhibitionist. For a long time, I was using the Revlon Lash Paradise. I think it comes in a pink container, but what I didn't like about it is it got stiff really quick, and it was hard to work with once it was dry. Whereas you have more playtime, if you will, with this particular brand, and I think it's a little bit cheaper as well. The brush is nice and fluffy, just like I like it. And also, you see that goop on the end? People just love to take that and go, oh, it's too much. And they'll put it back in there, and you don't want to do that because this stuff is actually liquid gold. And I will show you why. This is what I recommend you do with your mascara. Is I go up in my eyelashes with it, and I don't know if you can tell, you can see it, but I'm going back and forth, a sweeping motion, not at the base so much, but kind of in the middle. And then I'll take the brush itself and I'll move that mascara that I just clumped into my lashes up the strands with the brush. And it helps to elongate them and shape them even. And I'll take it and I'll hold it there for a second to help give it some lift. You know, I know that there are crimpers out there, eyelash curlers. I'm not a fan of that because you can accidentally pinch your lid, or, you know, and it's just another step, honestly. You know, why do that when I can just do it myself? And the mascara acts kind of like a gel almost, you know, like it's like you were to put gel on your eyelashes, and then they'll stick there. So this takes a hot minute to do. And then I'll go back and I'll kind of concentrate on the ends because, you know, you want your lashes long and pretty. So I'll pull them out, and I'll kind of wait for it to dry a little bit. But see how nice that looks? Okay, and then we're going to go back and do it again. I like to pay special attention to the outside corner of my eyelashes because I just feel it gives it more of a winged effect and a doe-like look to the eyes. Mascara on your eyelid or on any other part of your face, our knee-jerk reaction is to go, oh my God, and you clean it up. And then it smears all over the place. That is not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to wait a few minutes for it to dry, and then you can just pick it off. It'll just flake right off, and you haven't disrupted the rest of your makeup, and there's no starting over again. And then for my bottom lash, they have a beautiful color from L'Oreal, and this is their Voluminous line. I like black on my lashes, but on my bottom lash, I use a plum color. You can't even tell that's plum in the mirror or in the camera. I'm still waking up. And you still can't tell. No, not really. Where's that camera? There it is. Now you can. All right. So I take that and I put it in the corner of my lashes. And I do it just about into there. And again, I don't go all the way in because I don't want to make my eye look smaller. But you will notice that I am using that back and forth sweeping motion, and I'm using the tip of my applicator as well. Okay, and last but not least, the lips. As I've gotten older, I've decided softer colors are the way to go, and another key to soft looking lipstick is a lot in the applicator as well. There's a couple of different ones that are my new favorite. There's good old NYX, aka the poor man's MAC. It is Powder Puff, Powder Puff Lippy. And the reason I like this stuff is the applicator is actually very reminiscent to the stuff that I apply on my face. If you notice, they're both kind of rounded and they both have this like peach fuzz, if you will. And it just makes for a very soft kind of airbrushed effect. But I'm not using that today. Instead, I am playing with my makeup. I've been doing this for a while and it seems to be working, so why not? I take that that stick that I had from before where I was using it to contour my cheeks, and I just go, uh. I do like a long wearing lipstick. I just haven't found one really that is soft enough. I need to go on a hunt for one. So if you know of one, please feel free to reach out and DM me on Instagram. And then for my secondary lipstick, I'm using, surprise, surprise, another NYX product, and this is Whipped. And the applicator is also fuzzy, but I think they refer to this as like a doe foot type of applicator, and it's just a really soft, pretty pink. And so I just kind of blend that through. All right. Now, that is pretty much the makeup tutorial. I am going to take a picture after I take out my hair, and so you can see what my makeup looks like, you know, in natural lighting and that sort of thing. Thank you very much for watching, for bearing with me. Thanks for not being critical. All right, well, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can always reach out to me at Instagram. On the Instagram, my handle is Queen August. And have a great day. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.